Patrick's been playing with a new toy from Sonos all morning, and what makes this one different from the previous versions that we've seen?
Outside of the greasy fingerprints that I just wiped off?
Yeah, well, this thing is like half the size of the old controller, too.
And the thing is, the new Sonos Controller 200, it's the replacement for the original Sonos remote control. If you haven't seen it, Sonos is this really well-done multi-room music system. And that's what they really got. A few years ago, they came out with this really well-thought-out system. You could have up to like 32 boxes. They call them zone players. They're remote streaming audio receivers with or without built-in amps. And you're probably going like, oh, Squeezebox did it before that, or I could use... Well, what's interesting about this is actually the remote control. Again, up to 32 of the remote zone players, and check out the screens on that. Now, if you hold them up side by side, like it's kind of like you're going from the iPod model to the touch model here, right? You know, the scroll wheel to the touch screen. They seem comfortable letting Apple sort of train the music-consuming public, and then hoping if they step up to this. So the Controller 200 is really interesting. If you've never seen it in action, right, so you have like, you can create zones, and we've got the living room down the hallway, and we've got the master bedroom right here. And if I go in there and I can click into my music library and artists, and I can scroll forever, or look, I can touch a letter and I'll go straight to that letter. Are you paying attention, Apple? And how about Yo-Yo Ma, Dvorak, Concerto for Cello, and you can play on that, and that's great, right? So we got the Dvorak going, and if I want to, I can create a zone group where I bundle in multiple players together, and then they'll all start playing. So now we got a wireless connection way over there that's starting to play the Dvorak. Or if I'm like, okay, you know what, I really want to piss the kids off, I'm going to play 311 over there. And the idea that you can either have it sort of a whole house party mode, or turn things up and down and have different things going on. Let me mute this one right here real quick, and we'll mute that one right here real quick. And part of what's interesting about what they've done is like, okay, so it's a remote control. Well, the idea is like, they're not just streaming your wireless music collection, but if I go into here and I go to my music menu, they've integrated Last.fm, Pandora, you can browse Napster, Rhapsody, and with the touchscreen, it's super fast and super easy to search for things on there. And it's really, really easy to set up, create a playlist on the fly, to create playlists normally, and they also have an iPod, like an iPhone iPod Touch app that you can get down now along with desktop controller software. It's just a really well-rounded, really, it's sort of, I guess,
it's an elegant household solution for playing music. Exactly,
and it makes it really, it's just really easy to basically go through your library, because like, you know, everybody loves like the whole like, oh, I'm looking at my album covers in iTunes, but when you have 900 albums, it's a nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to find something, so you go into text mode, and they've just done a really sleek, simple setup, and this is much faster than the original Sonos. The touchscreen works better than the control wheel to find something, especially if you have a huge collection or if you're browsing something like Rhapsody. What's really cool, the info view inside of this in the version 3.0, the software that just came out, you click it, you get access to artist bios, album reviews, and my favorite, you can find out if there's any concerts listings
nice.
for
you
it.
like going to the live events.
Yeah.
I get freaked out when there's too many people around. I prefer to listen at home on my Sonos.
Which is understandable. So you've been running one of these in your house forever.
For a long time. Yeah, we actually have the new one set up at home as well, and I love it. We use it for Rhapsody all the time. And I don't buy a lot of new music, you know, I buy a couple albums every so often. I have an e-music subscription. But it's nice to be able to test a lot of different music with the Rhapsody subscription and not have to commit to it all.
Not have to find yourself with a bunch of downloaded files that cost you a bunch that you can't resell because they won't accept them. You can't take downloaded files to
Not so much.
Amoeba.
Your local Sam Goody and trade them in for something, right?
Oh my goodness. So here's the catch, and you'll probably share this one with me. The Sonos system is not cheap. The Sonos Controller 200, this puppy runs $350, works with the older units. The starter bundle with a pair of zone players, one amplified, and the controller will run you right about $1,000. The basic zone player $90 without the built-in amplifiers, $350. The zone player $120 with the built-in amp, and it's a very nice amp. It's very musical. It really actually has a good amount of oomph, I would say, to use a highly sophisticated audiophile term, is $500. So at least the iPhone, Touch, Mac, PC controller stuff is free. So you can actually start out, and the iPhone stuff actually is pretty sophisticated. So I'm going to go in there and go into my zone menu, and it gives you the same basic access in there. There's my cue, and go to
So
music.
I would say this isn't really something that maybe a person in a one-bedroom apartment or studio would really need. You know, I think it's meant for people who have got a few rooms in the house that they spend a lot of time in. You don't want to have to be like plugging your iPod into every different docking station or setting up a really sophisticated like home theater system that is networked.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's nothing
this
you
just kind of
do.
takes care of all of that.
If you got a notebook, you can do everything this does. You're just not going to have the same sort of integrated central point of access for it. So yeah, you know, in my magnificent 700 square foot one bedroom house stuffed with the dog, the cat, the toddler, the wife, and myself, yeah, this is probably overkill because we can basically reach from the living room to the bedroom and turn the television and the stereo on. On the flip side, you know, yeah, if you're like, I want everything and I want to be able to wander throughout my, you know, 200 square foot studio and not have to walk across the room or get up from my chair, this is something that would do that. It's kind of pricey for it, but it'll do a nice job.
Or if you've got a big house.
The big house, I think, is where it really comes alive.
If you got a big house, I mean, this would be perfect for it too.
A lot of people still living in those 7,000 square foot houses.
Some people still own their homes, yes.
Some people like us will never be able to buy a home unless we leave San Francisco. So, yeah, actually, and on the kind of on the cheap side of things, if you're looking at this going, that's great, there's no way I can afford it, we got a little DIY project for you next week that's going to show you how to stream music around your house for a lot less money. It was like a tease.
Yes, an excellent tease.